Hi, everyone. My name is Dana Gelsomino, and this is episode 18 of the Ask a Question show, the show in which you ask a question about any type of narcissistic or otherwise abusive or toxic relationship or situation. And I, along with the rest of the community here, will do our very best to help answer it. Our goal is to give you the feedback and the support that you need so that you can move forward in getting the clarity, the closure, and the healing that you so deserve. And so today's question comes from Jessie, and Jessie asks, Dear Dana, how do narcissists manipulate? I seem to keep getting caught up with these people and I don't realize it until it's too late. Help! Okay, Jesse, I hear you. I totally hear you loud and clear. I felt the exact same way. I think there's probably a lot of people out in our community here that are in the same boat. So, my 2 cents on it. So let me kind of recap. When we're talking about narcissists, for those people that are new to the channel, we're not talking about somebody who's just selfish or self-absorbed, although that can be part of the problem. But the larger issues when you're dealing with a person that we would call a narcissist is you're dealing with a person who has a pattern of long-standing behavior where they lack empathy, they lack remorse, they have a blinding degree of selfishness, a jaw-dropping level of entitlement, and they exploit people. And so these are the more problematic behaviors that we're talking about. So the question really is, so how do manipulative people manipulate? And why are you not realizing it until it's too late? So manipulative people manipulate, I believe, in 6 different main ways. I will put the list down below in the description area here. So this is my take on it all. There's 6 main points. It's an acronym I call ICHIVE, and it stands for isolation, charm, hope, intimidation, violence, and emotion. And so the number one tool for a manipulative and abusive people is isolation. They do this through love bombing. They do this through moving their victim out in the middle of nowhere. They do this by cutting off ties or either forcefully or implying that they should cut off ties to either having a job or access to money somehow, or cutting off ties with friends and family. So once they've been able to kind of isolate that victim, then the mind games really begin. And it's all of that kind of crazy making behavior where the victim can't tell, is it me or is it him? Who has the problem here? And of course, when I say him, narcissists can be male or female. They're, any age, any gender, any sexual orientation, any role in our life. They can be, significant others, or they can be your neighbor or your parent or your child, and so on. So isolation is a key one. The C in chive is charm. So the good ones, the highly manipulative people, come across as very, very charming. They're kind of the Bill Cosbys or the Scott Petersons of the world. And they are very convincing. They're oftentimes very likable. And so when they do have when their bad behavior does surface, like Bill Cosby, it's really hard for the rest of us to look at that and believe it. Because it's, who on earth would have believed that about Bill Cosby? And of course, I think the victims knew that. And that was one of the reasons they didn't come forward, because it's like, who's going to believe me? He's America's dad. He's this wonderful guy. And I am, a budding actress. And they're just going to think I'm sleeping my way to the top. But of course, that was intentional on his part, right? To target these kinds of women that had these vulnerabilities about their situation. So it would look that way if he ever got discovered. So charm is a big one. H stands for hope. Again, another big tool for abusive people is hope. Hope dies last. And hope in the sense of they do this future faking where they pretend that, kind of given enough time, given enough love, given enough second chances or 20-second chances or therapy or rehab or what have you, if enough other things happened, then the victim and this abusive person could eventually have this great life together. But there's just these like huge, elephants in the room that they need to get worked out first. But, once those elephants leave, everything will be fine. But victims tend to be very giving, very understanding, overly understanding, really is what it is, people. And so we tend to buy everything that they're saying. We take these people at face value. A lot of times we don't even realize that there are these kinds of really manipulative people in the world. Again, we kind of go around thinking that the bad people are really easy to spot. And, that the bad people again, look like bad people. They act like bad people. They aren't likable or funny or charming or whatever. Those give me bad people like that any day of the week, because you can spot them a mile away. Like, those people aren't manipulative. Like, those are pretty easy to see. Like, that guy's trouble, I'm leaving, right? It's the charming, likable, convincing ones that are the wolves in sheep's clothing, the ones that are really, really dangerous. So, hope. So victims, of course, don't realize that they're with this person who is that can be possibly likable, but also be so destructive. And so they hang on to this hope that they really can change, because they think their partner is with, they think that their partner's with a person who's a normal, decent human being that has the capacity and will eventually have the desire to change. And 9 out of 10 times, well, I shouldn't even say that. I think in general, people, in order for a person to change, you have to have a sincere desire to change, coupled with, motivation to change and a lasting, applied effort in the direction of the change that you want to occur. If you don't have any of that, then you don't have a person that has a sincere desire to change. Words are free and easy, right? It's easy to talk about all day long. Oh yeah, I totally want to change, totally want to go to therapy, we're going to do this. I want to make things really work, and I will prove to you that I love you. And they're just words, right? Because the actions aren't consistent. They might go to therapy twice, if you can even get them that far, which, don't even get me going on that. But, or they can, they'll go to rehab for a week, or they'll make some sort of like half-assed effort towards change, but it doesn't last because it was never sincere. So hope dies last. That's H. I is intimidation. These are threats. These can either be implied, explicit or implied. So explicit threats would be examples of, I'm going to kill you if you leave me. I'm going to hurt somebody you love. I'm going to hurt the pets. I'm going to, have some sort of there's going to be consequences if I don't get my way, basically. The victim might come out to their car, their tires are slashed, a rock might be through their window, these kinds of things. And I guess that can kind of also be more of like implicit type threats, where whatever they're doing can't be like tied directly to them, or it might come across as to other people as not as scary as it's coming across to the victim. So like, you might get a note under your windshield wiper on your car, right? And they might say something like, "Oh, thinking of you." Well, to the police, to other friends and family, especially if they're charming, that can come across as, "Oh, I would love to have that kind of attention," or "You're so lucky," or "Why don't you try to make it work? He's obviously sorry." And to the victim realizes, this guy's batshit crazy, and there's nothing romantic about this at all, and they're terrified. But then, of course, they feel crazy because nobody else sees it as the threat that it really is. Because basically, by doing that, right, by putting a note under somebody's windshield wiper after you've had kind of, this scary roller coaster ride with them, it lets the victim know, hey, I know exactly where you are. I have access to you, and I'm thinking about you. So it's very intimidating. It's very serious. And so that's different types of threats. Of course, threatening violence. They might be punching holes in walls to give you the idea of, you might be next, that kind of thing, or saying, if you divorce me, I'm going to go after your retirement, or I'm going to go after full custody. Again, like just threats that keeps the victims in this relationship. So V, and the CHIVE acronym, stands for violence. And again, this can be, physical abuse. This can be sexual abuse. This is where it really escalates, and the person's and it starts off, physical violence generally doesn't start off by somebody just getting hit. It starts off with getting like spit on, or slapped, or bitten, or just kind of being roughly handled. Somebody grabbing your shirt, or grabbing your arm roughly, or and you'll know when you're going through this, because it's all of a sudden that behavior just kind of changes, and you're like, wow, they've never touched me like that before, and where did that come from? And it's scary. And of course, they're full of apologies, and of course we believe them. That's how this dance goes. Instead, we should really walk away and have standards for how we expect to be treated. And if somebody violates those standards, to be okay with cutting bait and not looking back. So E, the last one is they manipulate through emotion, through a combination of using pity, guilt, or love. There's kind of that old saying out there, the most dangerous words an abusive person can use are "I love you," and that's so true because again, you have a victim who is probably a normal, decent, kind human being and who's overly understanding. And so this abusive person is exploiting that. And they're saying things like, well, I really love you. I really want to make this work. I'm going to just really, really put on this whole production that's going to convince you and your family and your friends and the neighbors that I'm a really good guy and that you should give me a second chance. And I'm gonna also maybe throw in some guilt. So saying stuff like, well, you came from a divorced household, like you don't want to do that to the kids, do you? And or I can't believe you're really leaving me. Like I love you so much, and yes, I have issues, but I promise, like this time, I will go to therapy. I will find God. I will go to rehab. I will do whatever you need me to do in order to stay in your life and let this continue. Is really what they're saying. Or pity, well, I'm an alcoholic. How can you leave me now? Don't leave me now. I have no one. I have no one. No one but you. Nobody but you. I need you to help me. Or I came from a really bad childhood and I don't know these things. Like you're lucky. You didn't have the childhood that I have. And, again, right? And so then you have this like overly understanding person who, again, instead of saying, I'm really sorry, because probably a lot of that's true. I'm really sorry that that's why you drink and hit and lie and cheat and steal. But, these are the standards I have for my life. And this is probably not a good idea to tell somebody else, but to tell yourself that, these are the standards that I have. This is what I'm looking for in another human being. This person is not it at all. This person is dangerous and destructive and will only serve to cause me, hurt and heartache in my life if I leave them in. I need to walk away and cut bait and drive on. So, and then, so that's kind of how they manipulate. You also ask the point of you don't realize it until it's too late. Well, I'm going to say that you do realize it. On some level, you've probably had your gut instinct, your spidey sense going off the whole time. And in order to really keep these people out of your life, half of the equation is being able to realize that these kinds of people really do exist in the world, and then to be able to spot manipulative behavior for what it is early on. And so you have it on your radar of possibility, because I think a lot of us, myself included, our radars just weren't set to even scan for, decent people, for the wolves in sheep's clothing out there. So set your radar beam wider to scan for this. And of course, this is not to make you paranoid, but it is to make you have a healthy level of skepticism, which is what we need in this world. It's not just, society's going downhill. No, it's always been like this. So, again, set your radar beam wide. Trust is earned. It's not blindly given. The whole point of dating is to really discern whether or not this person is healthy and stable and solid and sincere and is what you are looking for your life, right? So it's not about being in a relationship and, being there for them. That's fantastic, and that's a big part of it. But in order for that to be healthy, for those qualities to be healthy, you have to use logic and reason early on. And so that's kind of where we all get this twisted around, is we tend to base our decisions based off of emotion. And then down the road, we fight our logic and reason. This is why we're second guessing ourselves. There's so much confusion. There's so much doubt. We're not, listening to our logic and reason. And then until it gets bad enough, until it is too late. And then we jump ship. So you've got to reverse the approach. Use logic and reason when you're first meeting somebody. Screen them like it's kind of like an interview process, and finding out more information about who they are and their morals and their values and their hopes and their dreams and their goals and their kind of trajectory in life, and a little bit about and probably a lot about their past is what you're going to want to find out, and see really who is this person. And is this what you're looking for in your life? And it's okay to say know this person's not what you're looking for, and then to keep driving on. So I hope that clarified things. I will be curious to see what the rest of the community here has to say. You guys take care. If you have any, as always, any questions, comments, concerns, frustrations, ideas, insights, you need some support, you just want to say hi, please let me know. Contact info is all down below. And that is it for episode 18. Talk to you guys soon. And as always, lots of love to you. You are not alone and you are not crazy. Please go with your gut instinct and your common sense. It is there for a reason, and you really can move forward and you can heal from this. But having healthy expectations and healthy boundaries and healthy standards is critical. There are no shortcuts around that. So please work on that and pour your energy into building a fantastic life for yourself, because that's the best revenge. So take care. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.